Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey, or Frederick Douglass, was one of the most commonly known African Americans in the slavery era. He was born in Tuckahoe on the eastern shore of Maryland to an enslaved mother on an unknown date, estimated to be about 1818. He later celebrated his birthday on February 14th, later when he settled in New York. Frederick spent most of his childhood with his grandmother and aunt, and rarely ever saw his mother, who unfortunately died when he was only 7 years old. As a young child, Frederick often hid in the closet when his aunt was beaten. Scared to death, he thought that he could be next. Frederick Douglass also learned how to read and write by the master's wife, who was later not allowed to. That did not stop Frederick, however, as he took a textbook from the master's youngest son and learned himself. When he was a teenager, Douglass was sent to a correction center for attacking his master when he was going to be beaten and defeated him. There, he was mistreated and abused more frequently than at his master's place. Frederick escaped slavery by borrowing free papers from another African American, which was a requirement for free slaves in the southern states. You would be sent back if you didn't have your free papers with you. He impersonated a sailor and said that he didn't carry his papers to sea, and revealed a tiny portion of the paper to the inspector without revealing the picture that wasn't his own. He was satisfied with the amount he saw and let Frederick be. Douglass settled with his new wife Anna in New York City. He said, quote, "My free life began on the 3rd of September, 1838. On the morning of the 4th of that month, after an anxious and most perilous but safe journey, I found myself in the big city of New York, a free man, one more added to the mighty throng which, like the confused waves of the troubled sea, surged to and fro between the lofty walls of Broadway," end quote, as reference from the Century magazine in 1881. He became a regular anti-slavery speaker, and one of his speeches even caused a riot, and was chased and beaten until a Quaker family from nearby had saved him. He published his autobiography in 1845 and went overseas to escape Southern capture. He started his trip to Liverpool on August 16, 1845, and he was also in Ireland during the Potato Famine or Great Hunger. He remained there and in Britain for another 2 years and gained enough money from his supporters to purchase his freedom legally, and later used that money to fund his own newspaper, the North Star. As an abolitionist, he also supported the cause for women's rights as well, and for their suffrage. He gave articulate speeches to women and was the first African American to attend the first Women's Rights Convention. He later got into a dispute with women because he supported the 15th Amendment, which allowed African Americans to vote, but not women. When the Civil War started, Frederick Douglass conversed with the 16th President Abraham Lincoln, discussing the treatment of African American soldiers, who Douglass also recruited. Post-war, he talked with 17th President Andrew Johnson about African American suffrage. After the Civil War, Frederick Douglass was assigned to many different positions dealing with the political field, such as U.S. Minister and Consul General for Haiti. He was also the first African American to be nominated for Vice President for Victoria Woodhull on the presidential ballot, although he did not know how to and didn't want to campaign. Therefore, he did not. Frederick Douglass died of a massive heart attack or stroke right after returning from a meeting from the National Council of Women. He was buried in Rochester, New York, in Section A of the Mount Hope Cemetery. His house is now a famous historical site on Cedar Hill, where he spent the last 18 years of his life, and is overseen by the National Park Service.